Hello, welcome to Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why, and how of newspaper reading. Today, we are going to discuss the important issues appearing in the New Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper, dated 25th November 2019. The news to be discussed has been presented on your screen, and timestamping for the same has been provided in the description box below. So let's start our today's discussion. The first news appears on page number 1 and also as a continuation on page number 12. It says NSO, that is National Statistical Office Survey, debunks Swachh Bharat ODF claims. ODF here refers to Open Defecation Free India. Now, the Swachh Bharat Mission Grameen of Indian government had aimed to achieve a clean and open defecation free India by 2nd October 2019. And accordingly, as per the Swachh Bharat Mission Grameen, central government had declared India ODF, that is Open Defecation Free. So in this backdrop, the latest survey of National Statistical Office on sanitation has debunked this particular claim of Government of India of being a Open Defecation Free India. So in this backdrop, let us go through some of the important facts highlighted by NSO survey and also learn certain basic facts about NSO as well as about Swachh Bharat Mission Grameen. Now from a prelims perspective, this topic becomes important with respect to sustainable development as well as social sector initiatives. Now the question is that when can we say that a particular area is open defecation free? It can be said when such an area have access to toilets, both rural areas as well as urban areas. So in this backdrop, let us see some of the difference with respect to certain statistics as reflected by Swachh Bharat Mission Grameen as well as National Statistical Office of India. Now with respect to access to toilets with respect to rural households, Swachh Bharat Mission Grameen said that 95% of rural households in India had access to toilet. However, as per the National Statistical Office survey, this claim was reduced to mere 71%. So effectively, as per the National Statistical Office survey, 28.7% of rural households had no access to toilet when the survey was being conducted by NSO. Now, as per a survey of NSO report with respect to rural households, almost 42% of Jharkhand had no access to toilet, 37% in Tamil Nadu had no access to toilet, and 34% in Rajasthan also had no access to toilet when the survey was being conducted by NSO with respect to rural households. Now interestingly, as per the central government, Gujarat was another state which was declared open defecation free in October 2017. However, as per the NSO survey with respect to rural households, almost a quarter in Gujarat, that is 25% of rural households had no access to toilet. This percentage was more in Karnataka, that is 30% of rural households had no access to toilet. In MP, this percentage was 29%, that is no access to toilet with respect to rural households. In Andhra Pradesh, 22%, as well as in Maharashtra also 22%. So the report of NSO survey on sanitation gives a glaring difference between the Swachh Bharat Mission Grameen report as well as with respect to NSO statistics. Now despite these glaring differences, the NSO survey did acknowledge that great progress has been made in toilet access in rural areas. And this can be seen as access to toilet in the last survey period, that is in 2012, was mere 40%. And this has now increased to 71% with respect to access to toilet in rural areas. So as per the NSO report, this itself is a major improvement, a major progress made with respect to access to toilet in rural areas. So after understanding all these aspects, let us also understand or go through the basics of Swachh Bharat Mission and also NSO, which functions under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now Swachh Bharat Mission was launched on 2nd October 2014 and the main aim was to achieve universal sanitation coverage, as this has put the focus on sanitation in both rural and urban areas. An important point from a prelims perspective is that this scheme is implemented by Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation, which functions under the Ministry of Jal Shakti. And the Swachh Bharat mission has two components, that is Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin and Swachh Bharat Mission Urban. So all these aspects becomes important from your prelims perspective. As has already been discussed, that the aim of Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin was to achieve a clean and open defecation free India by 2nd October 2019. The Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin not only created an awareness with respect to sanitation, but it also provided an atmosphere where people understood the importance of cleanliness in their areas. So, this says that in rural areas, Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin aimed to improve the levels of cleanliness through solid and liquid waste management activities, and also by making these villages in the rural areas open defecation free, clean as well as sanitized. So this was the basic purpose with respect to Swachh Bharat mission, both Gramin as well as urban. Now coming to National Statistical Office, firstly it functions under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and this itself becomes an important aspect from your prelims perspective. Further, the NSO is headed by a Director General who is responsible for the conduct of large-scale sample surveys in diverse fields on an all-India basis. Now, with respect to these surveys, data are collected through nationwide household surveys on various socio-economic subjects, including annual survey of industries. Now, NSO also collects data with respect to rural as well as urban prices. And it also plays a major role with respect to improvement of crop statistics in India. And this is done by crop estimation surveys conducted by the state agencies. Now, NSO has four divisions, that is Survey Design and Research Division, Field Operations Division, Data Processing Divisions and Survey Coordination Divisions. And all these divisions have been accorded different functions. Now the Survey Design and Research Division of NSO basically is responsible for technical planning of surveys, formulation of concepts and definitions, sampling design, designing of inquiry schedules, drawing up of tabulation plan, analysis and presentation of survey results. So these are the functions of Survey Design and Research Division. With respect to Field Operations Divisions, it is basically responsible for collection of primary data from the field with respect to surveys undertaken by NSO in different areas. Data Processing Division of NSO is an important division, and this is responsible for sample collection, software development, processing, validation as well as tabulation of data collected through surveys. Now tabulation of data simply means putting data in a table format with respect to rows and columns, as it helps in systematic and logical presentation of data in rows and columns to facilitate comparison as well as statistical analysis. Further, the Data Processing Division also process data collected with respect to price and wages in rural India. This division also processes data of periodic labor force survey report. Another important aspect is that the Industrial Statistics Wings of the Data Processing Division is responsible for sample collection, data processing, validation as well as tabulation of annual survey of industries data, which is collected through a dedicated web portal. And lastly, the Survey Coordination Division of NSO. And this division coordinates all activities of different divisions of NSO, that is the other divisions of NSO. Another important aspect is that the Survey Coordination Division also brings out a biannual journal of NSO, which is titled Sarvekshana. And this division also organizes national seminars with respect to results of various socio-economic surveys undertaken by NSO. So these are the important functions of different divisions of National Statistical Office. So all these information becomes useful for you, as you can use these information not only with respect to your prelims examination but also with respect to writing answers or even quoting the important functioning of these divisions on different topics asked on essays with respect to socio-economic development. Thus this topic becomes important with the perspective of prelims as well as mains. As in your mains examination, This topic gets covered under GS paper 2 as well as GS paper 1. The next news appears on page number 13. It says, Centre extends ban on Bodo insurgent group NDFB. Now, as per the Union Home Ministry, the National Democratic Front of Bodoland has been indulging in illegal and violent activities. It is planning and intending to undermine the sovereignty and territorial integrity of India, and this is being done to further its objective of achieving a separate Bodoland. So accordingly, the Ministry of Home Affairs has extended the ban on National Democratic Front of Bodoland, which is an Assam-based terrorist organization, for 5 years. Now this topic becomes important with perspective of GS paper 3, especially with respect to security. Now questions can be framed in GS paper 3 with respect to challenges to internal security as well as security challenges and their management in border areas and their linkages of organized crime with terrorism. So in this backdrop, let us understand certain basic facts with respect to National Democratic Front of Bodoland. Now, National Democratic Front of Bodoland is an armed separatist outfit which seeks to obtain a sovereign Bodoland for the Bodo people residing around the areas of Assam. Further, it is designated as a terrorist organization by the Government of India and has also been listed in the first schedule of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. Now, it's important to note that the first schedule of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act prescribes a list of terrorist organizations which has been designated by the Government of India. So, National Democratic Front of Bodoland also find its mention in the first schedule of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. Now, NDFB traces its origin from the Bodo Security Force, which was a militant group formed in 1986. The National Democratic Front of Bodoland adopted its constitution in March 98, almost 12 years after its formation, and according to its constitution, it framed the following objectives. First, to liberate Bodoland from Indian expansionism and occupation. Second, free the Bodo nation from colonist exploitation, oppression as well as domination. Third, to establish a democratic socialist society to promote liberty, equality as well as fraternity, and also to uphold the integrity and sovereignty of Bodoland. So basically, the constitution adopted by National Democratic Front of Bodoland asked for a separate country of Bodoland. So these were some of the important aspects with respect to National Democratic Front of Bodoland. Now additional information with respect to your prelims examination can be with respect to the Bodo language itself, as Bodo language find its mention in the 8th schedule to the Indian Constitution, and Bodoland Territorial Council has been constituted under the 6th schedule to the Indian Constitution. So again, these are certain important aspects which becomes important from your prelims examination. With this, let's move on to our next news discussion. The next news appears on page number 12. It says Manipur, Jammu and Kashmir top UAPA cases list, whereas Uttar Pradesh records highest number of arrests made under this act. So this news highlights that as per the statistics provided by the National Crime Records Bureau, that is NCRB, more than 35% of cases registered under the UAPA Act was recorded in Manipur, as Manipur recorded 330 cases in 2017. And after Manipur, the most number of cases under UAPA was in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So overall, of the cases registered under UAPA, 35% of the cases were from the state of Manipur, whereas 17% of the cases under UAPA was from the state of Jammu and Kashmir. From Assam, these cases were around 14%. In UP, these were around 12%, and in Bihar, the cases with respect to UAPA was around 5% of the entire cases. However, with respect to arrest, the maximum number of arrests under UAPA took place in the state of Uttar Pradesh, followed by Assam, Manipur, Bihar and Jharkhand. So this topic of UAPA becomes very important from our exam perspective. As you can see, a question has been asked by UPSC in GS paper 3 in the year 2019 itself. Now, as you are aware that we have started a discussion based on answer writing with respect to questions asked by UPSC, and this particular question on amendments proposed in UAPA has been discussed extensively by Arun sir in the video dated 15th November 2019. What you can do is to go back to this particular video and understand the importance and significance of these various amendments pertaining to UAPA as well as NIA Act. So to have a better understanding as to how to approach this particular answer, please go through this special video on answer writing of Arun sir, which was recorded on 15th November 2019. So coming back to this topic, this forms a part of GS paper 3 as a question was already asked by UPSC. So in this backdrop, let us understand the nuances of Article 22 along with its exceptions. Now Article 22 provides for protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. So Article 22 of the Indian Constitution says that when a person is arrested, then he or she must be informed about the grounds of arrest, that is on what charge they have been arrested. They have a right to consult and defend themselves by a lawyer of their choice. Next, as per Article 22, it is mandatory that such persons who are arrested or detained must be produced before the nearest judicial magistrate within a period of 24 hours of their arrest. So it basically means that no person who has been arrested can be detained beyond 24 hours without the approval of the magistrate. However, these provisions with respect to Article 22 does not apply in two specific cases. So the exception to Article 22 states that if a person is an enemy alien or if any person has been detained or arrested under preventive detention law, then such person can be detained beyond a period of 24 hours even without the approval of magistrate as per the provision of Article 22. So Article 22 provides for protection against arrest and detention in certain cases and also provides for certain exception with respect to an enemy alien and with respect to those people who are detained under preventive detention law such as UAPA. Now any person, if they are arrested under preventive detention law, then they can be kept in detention for a period of 3 months. However, if the period of detention has to be extended beyond 3 months, then the case must be presented to an advisory board for such an extension. This advisory board shall consist of people who are qualified to be appointed as judges of High Court. And this detention period of 3 months under preventive detention law can be extended only when the advisory board is of the opinion that there is sufficient cause for such particular extension of their detention beyond 3 months. Further, even Parliament may by law provide for a detention period of more than 3 months. So, if detention period has to exceed 3 months, then first it must be approved by the advisory board, who shall consist of members who are qualified to be appointed as judges of High Court, and second, such an extension beyond 3 months must be made through an act of the Parliament, that is, through a law of the Parliament. So these are the two grounds in which the detention period can exceed beyond 3 months with respect to preventive detention law. Thus, these becomes important aspect both with respect to your prelims as well as mains examination, particularly with respect to preventive detention as well as Article 22 of the Indian Constitution, as Article 22 is also one of the fundamental rights. Thus, from your mains perspective, questions can be framed in GS paper 3, and in your prelims, question can be asked in the section of polity and governance with respect to UAPA, as well as Article 22 of the Indian Constitution. With this, let's move on to our next news discussion. Now, the next news for our discussion is on page number 10 as a lead article. It says, Thiruvalluvar is an unstriped, uncolored and unaging. In this analysis, let us understand about Thiruvalluvar, who was a celebrated Tamil poet and philosopher and is best known as the author of Thirukkural. Now, from your prelims perspective, this topic becomes important with respect to history of India as well as culture. Now, Thiruvalluvar was a very famous Tamil poet and philosopher, and he is known for authoring Thirukkural, which is a collection of couplets on ethics, political and economic matters, as well as on love. And Thirukkural is considered as an exceptional and widely cherished work in the Tamil literature. Now, Thirukkural from the 6th century AD serves as a manual of precepts, and it is a guide with respect to noble living in life. So, basically, Thirukkural expounds secular, moral, as well as practical attitude towards life. Now, Thirukkural has been divided into three parts. One is Aram, next is Porul, and the third one is Inbam. Now, this section of Aram pertains to Dharm and it has moral and cosmic order and has been detailed in 38 sections. Whereas Porul is about Earth and it discusses issues on political and economic matters and has 70 sections. Basically, Orul discusses various important aspects with respect to statecraft and warfare, and this part of Thirukkural covers more than 50% of the entire Thirukkural. Whereas the section of Imbam pertains to pleasure and it has been described in 25 sections. So these are the different parts of Thirukkural. Now, Thiruvalluvar is also attributed to be author of many other later dated texts, including two Tamil texts on medicines. The first is Ganana Vettiyan, which is in 1500 verses, and the next is Pancharatnam, which is in 500 verses. So these can be said to be some of the important points which can be remembered from our prelims perspective, specifically with respect to Thiruvalluvar as well as his work, namely Thirukkural, as it has been divided into three sections. The first one deals with moral and cosmic order, that is Aram. The second one deals with political and economic matters, specifically statecraft and warfare, that is Porul. And the third one deals with pleasure, that is Inbam. The next news appears as an article on page number 11. It says, an ill-advised proposal. And this ill-advised proposal is with respect to merger of Assam Rifles with ITBP. Now, ITBP, that is Indo-Tibetan Border Police, is a central armed police force and functions under the operational guidance of police in India. Whereas Assam Rifles is a paramilitary force and it functions under the administrative control of Ministry of Home Affairs, whereas its operational control is with the Indian Army. So proposal is going around these days whereby it is mentioning that Assam Rifles shall be merged with Indo-Tibetan Border Police. So this article effectively highlights about this proposed merger of Assam Rifles with Indo-Tibetan Border Police. So in this backdrop, let us understand both the positive and negative with respect to this particular merger of Assam Rifles with that of Indo-Tibetan Border Police. Now this topic becomes important from your mains perspective with respect to GS paper 3 with respect to internal security. So the issue is that the merger of Assam Rifle with that of Indo-Tibetan Border Police will bring the Assam Rifles under the operational control of Ministry of Home Affairs, as presently the operational control of Assam Rifle is with that of the Indian Army. So after this merger, the operational control of Assam Rifle will be under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now this article also mentions that even in the year 2009, an operational note was circulated within the government to amalgamate or merge Assam Rifles with that of Indo-Tibetan Border Police. However, this particular idea was rejected by the Cabinet Committee on Security based on the history of Assam Rifles as well as the important role it plays with respect to safeguarding the northeast region, which is infested with insurgency. So effectively, Assam Rifles has played an important role to maintain peace and security in the entire northeastern region. Now, the first argument in favor of this merger is that this merger will ensure unity of command, as the merger of Assam Rifles will mean that the Home Ministry will be its cadre controlling authority both in operational as well as in administrative matters. And this will ensure unity of command, which is an important aspect with respect to communication across the hierarchy. Now, the second point is that this merger will help in solving the pension related problems, as Assam Rifle is under dual control. The administrative control is under Ministry of Home Affairs, whereas operational control is with the Indian Army. And because of this dual control, retired personals have been facing difficulties in drawing pensions. And because of this problem related to drawing of pension, this also resulted in filing various petitions in Delhi High Court. And this petition filed in Delhi High Court has also triggered this entire issue of merging Assam Rifles with that of ITBP. Now, the first negative or first argument against this merger is that army is more suitable for cross-border insurgency. So, the operational control of Assam Rifles should not be transferred to police as they are not suitable to handle cases of cross-border insurgency. Now, the Assam Rifles primarily guard the Indo-Myanmar border, which is fraught with insurgency from insurgent groups like NSCN-IM as well as NSCN-K. Now, most recently, Assam Rifles also participated in Operation Sunrise. Now, under Operation Sunrise, where Assam Rifle is also involved, both India and Myanmar have launched this operation along the India-Myanmar border, and this target camps of insurgents operating in the northeastern region. So, the aim of Operation Sunrise is to hit militant groups impacting both India and Myanmar. So, this shows that under the operational control of Indian Army, Assam Rifles has an important role to play, especially with respect to managing insurgency in the region. Further, the region in which Assam Rifle operate requires specialized skills, and it cannot be done on mere policing functions. So we can say that the nature of terrain in which Assam Rifle works or functions requires operational control of the Indian Army as well as their training. And without the training of operational army, it will not be easy for Assam Rifles to function under normal policing conditions. Further, the Assam Rifles, apart from guarding the Indo-Myanmar border, also helps the Indian Army in counter-insurgency roles in Northeast. So, taking away these important roles from Assam Rifle will actually make the entire region of Northeast more susceptible to insurgency. Next, merging of Assam Rifles with ITBP may also deflate the morale of the force, as downgrading the status of a paramilitary force to that of a police force may degrade the morale of Assam Rifles and may also affect its performance. Another point highlighted in this article is that both ITBP and Assam Rifles follow different set of rules, hierarchies and operational philosophies. So it would be very difficult for personnel of Assam Rifles to adjust to new set of rules after the proposed merger. So effectively the article concludes by saying that it will be more appropriate for the government to merge ITBP with Sashastra Seema Bal. This is because since both are led by police, so internal management would be much easier as compared to merging Assam Rifles with that of Indo-Tibetan Border Police. Thus, this article becomes important with respect to understanding the functionings and working of Assam Rifles, and also the fact that as of now it is under the operational control of Indian Army and under the administrative control of Ministry of Home Affairs. The next news appears on page number 9. It says, Centre nudging Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh on Ken Betwa linkage. The rupees 18,000 crore river interlinking project has been mired in controversy. Now this topic pertains to Ken Betwa linkage. Now this news highlights that the Indian government is pushing both the states, that is Uttar Pradesh as well as Madhya Pradesh, to make progress on Ken Betwa river interlinking project. Now this project involves transferring of surplus water from the river Ken in Madhya Pradesh to river Betwa in Uttar Pradesh, as it will effectively help the Bundelkhand region of both the states. So in this project, the government of India is pursuing interlinking in a consultative manner between the two states, as there have been certain disagreements with respect to sharing of water between the states of Madhya Pradesh as well as Uttar Pradesh. Apart from this, there are other environmental concerns as well. The Ken Betwa interlinkage project also involves constructing a 77-meter tall and 2-kilometer wide Dodhan Dam, and it also involves construction of a 230-kilometer long canal. So with respect to Ken Betwa interlinking project, there are certain disagreements with respect to sharing of water between the two states of UP as well as MP. Now this topic becomes important, as you can see this particular question was asked in the prelims of 2016. The question was, recently linking of which of the following rivers was undertaken? Options were Kaveri and Tungbhadra, Godavari and Krishna, Mahanadi and Son, and Narmada and Tapti. In this, the correct answer was Godavari and Krishna. So this topic in your prelims examination becomes important with respect to general issues on environmental ecology as well as climate change. Now let us go through some of the important aspects from our prelims perspective. Now it says that the interlinkage of Ken and Betwa will ultimately benefit the Bundelkhand region, which spread across the districts of two states, mainly Jhansi, Banda, Lalitpur, Mahoba districts of UP, and Tikamgarh, Panna, and Chhatarpur districts of Madhya Pradesh. Another important aspect is that Ken and Betwa rivers originate in Madhya Pradesh and are the tributaries of river Yamuna. Further, Ken meets with Yamuna in Banda district of UP, whereas Betwa meets with Yamuna in Hamirpur districts of Uttar Pradesh. Another important aspect is that Rajghat, Paricha and Matatila dams are built over Betwa river, whereas the Ken river passes through the famous Panna Tiger Reserve. So this again becomes an important point with respect to your prelims examination. Now the question is that what is the need for interlinkage of rivers? The interlinkage of rivers helps to maintain the water imbalance in any given area. So it provides 3 points with respect to interlinking of rivers. Let's go through these 3 points individually. It says that India receives 80% of its water through annual rainfall, and this is within a short span of 4 months from June to September. So the rest of the period receives mere 20% of rainfall. Now this 20% of rainfall in the rest of the period becomes insufficient for Rabi crops, which is grown around the period from October to March. Now with respect to spatial variation, it highlights that areas of water deficits are in majority in the entire country. So most of the areas in the country are water deficit areas. So interlinking of rivers will ultimately help in solving the issue of water deficit in majority of the river. And this water deficit can be easily understood by distribution of annual rainfall over the country, which is not uniform, as there are certain parts of India which receives maximum rainfall, whereas there are other parts of the country which receives very less rainfall. Now the changing demand for water has created stress on the use of water. So increasing demand of water with respect to irrigation, drinking as well as industrial uses has created this demand supply gap, as there is more demand with respect to water and this demand is not being able to fulfill through the supply of water. And this demand supply gap with respect to supply of water can be balanced by interlinking of rivers. So now the question is that what are the advantages of Ken Betwa linkage? It says that this will provide surplus water to drought-stricken Bundelkhand region of both the states, and it will also help to ensure stable agriculture, which will effectively help farmers in the entire region. Further, construction of Dodhan Dam will also lead to production of hydroelectricity in the area, and construction of long canals up to 230 kilometers may lead to afforestation, that is planting of trees. And this planting of trees along the 230-kilometer stretch of canal can ultimately result in environmental improvement of the region. So these can be said to be some of the benefits of advantages of Ken Betwa linkage. However, there are certain concerns as well with respect to this particular linkage. It says that this project has been delayed due to political and environmental issues, as both the states, that is MP and UP, are disagreeing on sharing of water. The next point of concern is that construction of Dodhan Dam might lead to submergence of the protected areas. It says that the construction of Dodhan Dam will result into submergence of 10% of the critical tiger habitat of MP's Panna Tiger Reserve, and this will adversely affect the tiger conservation efforts carried out at Panna Tiger Reserve. Further, this will also result in displacement of around 20,000 people of the Bundelkhand region, and this will give rise to rehabilitation issues of such people. So these can be said to be some of the concerns with respect to Ken Betwa linkage along with the Dodhan Dam construction as well as construction of 230 kilometer stretch of canal in the region. Thus, this topic becomes important from the perspective of both prelims as well as mains examination. In your mains, this topic gets covered under GS paper 3. The next news appears on page number 10 as an article section. It says, Broken Promise of Decent and Fair Wages. The draft rules to the Wages Act, a law expected to provide economic and social justice, will only exploit workers further. Now, this entire article talks about the difference in minimum wage concept as well as the concept of living wage. This particular concept with respect to the wage code of 2019 has been discussed extensively by Vaibhav sir on the DNS dated 17th November 2019. As you can see, he discussed extensively about minimum wage as well as living wage, which not only includes the minimum wage but also includes human development aspects, social needs of a person, as well as safety nets with respect to insurance as well as pension. As you can see in this video, Vaibhav sir also discussed the background with respect to need for a wage code, where he also discussed not only the key provisions but also the impact of wage code. So to understand this entire concept of wage code comprehensively, please go through the video of Vaibhav sir dated 17th November 2019. Now after our discussion, these forms your practice question. So what you can do is to take a pause of 5 seconds. Question number 1, it says, consider the following statements. National Statistical Office, that is NSO, was created after merging Central Statistical Organization, CSO, and National Sample Survey Organization, that is NSSO, on the recommendation of C. Rangarajan Committee. Second, National Statistical Office, that is NSO, functions under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. The question is, which of the statements given above are correct? In this, both the statements are correct. Hence, the correct answer here is C. Coming to question number 2, it says, consider the following statements. First, central government has extended the ban on Bodo insurgent group National Democratic Front of Bodoland. Yes, this statement is correct. Second, National Democratic Front of Bodoland has been listed under first schedule of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. Yes, this is also correct as we have seen. So the question is, which of the statements given above are incorrect? In this, both the statements are correct. Hence, the correct answer would be D, that is neither 1 nor 2. Question number 3. Consider the following statements. First, protection provided under Article 22 against arrest and detention does not apply to enemy alien and those detained under preventive detention law. Yes, the statement is correct. Second, persons detained under preventive detention law does not have any right to be represented through a legal practitioner. No, this statement is incorrect. So the question is, which of the statements given above are incorrect? So here the correct answer is B, that is 2 only. That is only the second statement is incorrect. Now these are practice question number 4 and practice question number 5. What you can do is to take a pause of another 5 seconds. Question number 4. It says, consider the following statements. First, Thiruvalluvar is a famous Tamil poet and philosopher and has contributed in enriching Tamil literature. Yes, this is correct. Second, Thirukkural is authored by Thiruvalluvar, which provides for moral and cosmic order, statescraft and warfare, and pleasure. Yes, this is also correct. Third, Ganna Vetiyan and Pancharatnam are two texts on economics authored by Thiruvalluvar. No, this statement is incorrect as these texts are on medicines. So the question is, which of the statements given above are correct? So the correct answer is 1 and 2. So here the correct answer becomes D. Now question number 5. Now this particular question was asked in the prelims of 2016. It says, consider the following pairs. Community sometimes mentioned in the news and the other is in the affairs of. Kurd, Bangladesh, Madheshi, Nepal, Rohingya and Myanmar. In this, the first option is incorrect as Kurds are found along Iraq as well as Turkey, whereas the second and third options are correct. So the question is, which of the pairs given above are correctly matched? So the correct answer is C, that is 2 and 3 are correctly matched. With this, we come to an end to discussion of today's newspaper. Let's move on to the question for the day.